There are performers who make us laugh, and then there are those who quietly hold us together during our hardest moments. Catherine O'Hara belongs firmly in the second group. Her presence on screen never felt performative or distant. It felt personal, almost protective. Whether she was delivering chaos, warmth, or vulnerability, there was a sense that she understood something deeply human about survival through humor. For decades, audiences didn't just watch her work, they leaned on it. In times of stress, uncertainty, or exhaustion, her characters offered relief without asking anything in return. That kind of connection doesn't come from fame alone. It comes from emotional honesty. Catherine's comedy never mocked pain. It absorbed it and transformed it into something lighter. That is why her work feels timeless. It doesn't belong to a trend or a generation. It belongs to moments when laughter isn't optional, but necessary. Built to see the world differently. From the very beginning, Catherine O'Hara's life carried a sense of uniqueness that mirrored her artistry. She has spoken openly about being wired a little differently, and fans have long noticed how her perspective often cuts against the expected angle. Whether through subtle timing or unexpected emotional beats, she consistently approaches characters from places others wouldn't think to look. That difference became her strength. Rather than smoothing out her edges to fit industry expectations, she leaned into them. It allowed her to portray characters who felt layered, surprising, and deeply human. She never aimed for perfection in the traditional sense. Instead, she aimed for truth. That truth showed up in raised eyebrows, quiet pauses, and moments where laughter and vulnerability lived side by side. It's why her performances feel lived in rather than performed, and why audiences sense sincerity even beneath the wildest comedy. A childhood where humor meant survival. Growing up in a large, energetic household taught Catherine an early lesson. Humor creates connection. In a space filled with voices, laughter became a way to communicate, to soften tension, and to be understood. That environment sharpened her instincts long before she ever stepped on a stage. Comedy wasn't about attention, it was about harmony. This foundation followed her into adulthood, shaping how she listened as much as how she spoke. When she entered improvisational comedy, she didn't dominate scenes, she elevated them. She reacted, adapted, and responded with precision. That skill set came from years of observing human behavior, not performing for approval. It's why her characters always feel grounded, even when they're outrageous. They're rooted in emotional reality. Her childhood didn't just teach her how to be funny. It taught her why humor matters when life feels overwhelming. Earning respect in unforgiving rooms. The early stages of Catherine O'Hara's career unfolded in spaces that demanded resilience. Improvisational comedy in its formative years was intense, competitive, and often unwelcoming. Yet she didn't push her way through by being louder or more aggressive. She earned respect through consistency and adaptability. She could transform completely, disappearing into characters so thoroughly that the performer herself seemed invisible. That versatility made her indispensable. Colleagues recognized that scenes worked better with her in them, not because she demanded attention, but because she understood rhythm and balance. She brought discipline to comedy, treating it as a craft rather than chaos. That approach allowed her to thrive without burning out or burning bridges. Over time, her reputation grew quietly but solidly. She became known not just as funny, but as reliable, thoughtful, and deeply professional, qualities that sustained her long-term success. Becoming a fixture in our lives, certain performances don't fade with time, they become traditions. Catherine O'Hara's work lives in that space. Her characters are revisited year after year, not out of nostalgia alone, but because they still resonate. Families grow older, circumstances change, yet her presence remains comforting and familiar. She portrays love without sentimentality and frustration without cruelty, creating characters who feel real rather than exaggerated. That realism is what allows audiences to return to her work repeatedly without fatigue. She doesn't rely on novelty. She relies on emotional truth. Over time, her performances became woven into personal memories associated with holidays, family gatherings, and shared laughter. That level of cultural integration is rare. It means her work isn't just watched, it's remembered. And remembered not as content, but as companionship through changing seasons of life. Precision, behind effortless comedy. What appears effortless on screen is often the result of intense preparation. Catherine O'Hara is known among collaborators for her meticulous attention to detail. She approaches comedy with the seriousness of a craftsperson, understanding that timing, tone, and restraint are everything. She rehearses not to control outcomes, but to leave room for authenticity. That balance allows her to appear spontaneous while remaining grounded. Colleagues have often described her quiet nerves before performances, not as weakness, but as respect for the work. She never assumed she'd earned a laugh. She treated every moment as something to be earned again. That humility kept her performances sharp and alive, even decades into her career. It also prevented stagnation. By never coasting, she ensured that her work continued to feel intentional, fresh, and emotionally present. Reinvention, without losing identity. Many artists struggle with longevity because they confuse reinvention with erasure. Catherine O'Hara never made that mistake. As her career evolved, she allowed herself to explore new creative territory without abandoning her core sensibilities. Later roles showcased boldness, confidence, and playfulness, but they were still grounded in the same emotional intelligence that defined her early work. She didn't chase relevance. She allowed relevance to find her through authenticity. That approach resonated deeply with audiences who recognized the continuity beneath the change. Her success later in life wasn't framed as a comeback because she never truly left. She simply waited for roles that aligned with her values and curiosity. This patience paid off, proving that creativity doesn't expire. It matures, deepens, and often becomes more powerful when allowed to evolve naturally rather than forcefully. Choosing privacy in a public world. In an industry driven by exposure, Catherine O'Hara chose restraint. She guarded her personal life not out of secrecy, but out of respect for balance. She understood that constant visibility can erode stability, and she chose sustainability over spectacle. This decision allowed her to maintain a sense of normalcy while continuing to create meaningful work. She didn't confuse silence with absence. She simply drew boundaries. Those boundaries protected her relationships, her mental space, and her longevity. She remained present where it mattered most without offering herself up for consumption. This quiet strength is often overlooked, yet it's one of the reasons her career endured without scandal or burnout. By keeping her private life private, she preserved the energy required to show up fully when she chose to work, rather than being depleted by constant public demand. The legacy that quietly endures. Catherine O'Hara's legacy isn't defined by numbers, awards, or viral moments. It lives in the emotional response she continues to evoke. Her work reminds us that comedy can be compassionate, that humor doesn't have to be sharp to be powerful. She taught us that laughter can coexist with vulnerability, and that kindness can be a creative force. Long after performances end, what remains is the feeling she leaves behind: warmth, recognition, and relief. Her career offers a lesson that extends beyond entertainment, that showing up honestly, protecting one's humanity, and valuing connection over noise creates work that lasts. She didn't demand attention. She earned trust. And that trust is why her presence continues to matter, not as a symbol of fame, but as a reminder that art rooted in empathy never truly fades.